Good morning. My name is Geraldine Ysselstine. I'm an artist working out of Hope River, Prince Edward Island. My husband and I moved here 13 years ago from Ontario, and we have 3 daughters. They had all finished their education and found work, so it was time to have an adventure ourselves. And we moved to Prince Edward Island because the intrigue of living on an island, and things are a little bit calmer here. And we had to find ways to make a living. So we decided we would try 12 different industries and see which industry came successful. But in the meantime, I had always been an artist, and now I continue that in my daily life. And one thing that I really enjoy is painting plein air. And I suppose that's the subject of this video. I have always studied art and done art. I guess the example was my grandfather was an art teacher in Holland. And he painted in his retirement, and I was around paints and brushes and oils and thinners. But when I asked him, Opa, that was his name for grandfather, can you teach me how to paint? He said, oh, you can't learn that. And I think he meant that there was a tradition that you had to follow, and you had to take lessons and practice, and it was a long road. It wasn't like a one-time experience. And also my oldest brother, Bert, he became an art teacher, and he would bring home soapstone and silver jewelry and paintings and sketchbooks. And I really got a glimpse at artistic practice and the idea of creativity. So in my own life, I decided that art would be a good thing to pursue. And when I went to university to study art, my father said, now remember, you have to have a way to make a living. So then I directed my art to teaching, which was a good practice to fall back on. But now I really enjoy putting my time into to painting after raising a family. Yeah, that's my story.
Have you been influenced by any of the Dutch painters?
My parents immigrated to Canada in 1952, so I was not born in Holland, but we were raised in a Dutch household. I learned to speak Dutch, but not to read or write it. And for sure, all our references to Rembrandt light made me want to investigate what was that all about. So certain light conditions that the North Sea produces is a special light that you can see in the landscape painting in the Netherlands. And of course, Van Gogh is a very strong artist and example of how an artist has to work hard and observe nature and find their creative voice.
Let's go back to the beginnings of you discovering your artistic inclinations. What were you doing? Did you do sketches? Did you start painting right away? What was your medium? Watercolor? What was it?
As I mentioned, my brother studied art and became a teacher, and I was still quite young. And he brought home journals. And in those journals, he had done line drawings and added a bit of color with watercolor. So I guess that was my first example of how you could enter art. And when I traveled as a young person, I had a little sketchbook and my pen, and I started that way, observing plein air without even knowing that it was plein air. So yeah, I started with sketching and then watercolor. And then later in life, I had to teach acrylic, so I just learned it so I could teach it. And then I found oil was quite a bit like watercolor, and I could go quite a bit larger in oil. So that's how I got into oil. So I think I like to do all those things at different times, and whatever medium you're using, that's what your inspiration is.
Let's talk about the themes that you have. Perhaps we could start with the painting behind you, because it's a road and it's a metaphor of your journey.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even know what my art is about. Maybe process comes a bit into this. When I do a painting, I like to do a little sketch or several sketches, and then think about where are the lights and the darks, because in the painting, it's all about the light. Where is the light? So the painting behind me came about because I always walk down my own road to this road, which is a country road, and it's very steep, and it represents the countryside here in Prince Edward Island. Usually the roads at the beginning were clay roads, so red soil roads, and then over time they might get some gravel and then maybe asphalt. So this was probably an original heritage road at one time. What does it represent? Well, it was kind of winter time and going from winter into spring, and was during COVID. So I guess, yes, this is the road that is less traveled, but it's the road to creativity. And yeah, if we believe in ourselves and have a creative outlet, we do find the road out of difficult situations.
Let's talk about the early themes.
I think I've always been drawn to the landscape. Part of that is because when you're outside and you feel the wind on your face and you hear the birds, just go to a very quiet place within yourself, and your observation, all your five senses are being called upon. And so I believe that what you put down in your painting or drawing, it might not be accurate or perfect, but it's much more real. It's much more true because you are present. When you paint from a photograph, it's handy and it's all set up for you already, but it flattens the image, and you become more concerned about, am I getting it like the picture? And you're not like being in the moment. So for me, landscape has always been important. And a few years ago, I decided I needed a break from the landscape, and I decided to paint 60 women. And those women were just women that came across the door, the threshold, and I would ask them, can I take a picture? And in that case, I had to work from a picture because nobody had 3 hours to give me to sit. So I tried to use my skill and give an impression of that person. So I would say that doing portraits is a kind of landscape. It's the shape of that person, and if you can capture that person, you're capturing an essence, just like you would in landscape painting. Here on the island, I'm fortunate because we are surrounded by a coastline and the ocean and the Northumberland Strait. So something's always going on in nature, in the sky, in the light, the waves. And I suppose you could come back to the same spot day after day, morning and night, and do a different picture. So endless content for me here.
Are you working with brushes, or are you also working with palette knives?
Guess I am a little bit more representational, so I'm comfortable with the hog hair brush and palette knife sometimes, but not that comfortable doing a whole painting in palette knife yet. So I depend on my brush for the expressiveness of moving the paint across the surface.
Are you still visiting Holland, and are you painting about Holland?
Probably. The last time I was in Holland was 3 years ago because of COVID, our travel restrictions. But I suppose the light over the ocean here is quite a bit the same because we don't have the pollution of maybe central Canada or southern Ontario. So the air is very clear, and that gives a certain effect of light. And yeah, one would hope that you have your own interpretation, and I'm not just following my ancestors.
Is there a season that you feel more comfortable painting?
I wish I could go outside and paint every day, but here on the island, our livelihood depends on tourism. So during the summer months, from May till November, maybe, I have to be available to promote my art to tourists. So I suppose I've learned, especially this last winter, to paint outside in all conditions and just enjoy when I get the chance to be outside.
You live in isolation compared to other parts of Canada. What's it like to work and live in isolation?
Well, that was an adjustment at first. First of all, I had great frustration because I didn't have my suppliers for all my materials. But I had to learn with all seniors that you can order online. So materials was one thing, but learning to be quiet and taking the time to paint is really what an artist needs. If you're always busy visiting with people, you're not going to get down to your work. So I think living here in somewhat isolation is helpful for the creative practice. You become more disciplined. And even though there's isolation, there's also good friends here. And we know how to encourage each other.
What are you working on right now?
We have a really big garden of flowers and vegetables. And I found that these last 2 years, people were really drawn to images of garden and gardening and flowers. And so I have done many small paintings, 8 by 10. And I think I would like to explore the space and color in larger paintings of flowers as a landscape. Also, you never feel that you quite have got it, what you want to say in a painting. So there's always one more landscape, one more seascape. Next time I'm really going to get it. I'm going to understand it. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to see the light. And yeah, it's always next time.
About that series of paintings of the women, did you do 60 portraits?
Yes, well, I was planning when I would turn 60 that I would have a big party with 60 women as my community. But then, other paintings got in between. So I passed the 60 mark and my husband said, "You'll never finish it." So I had to finish it. So it was a few years after the 60 that I had the show, and then COVID happened. So we had only 6 women were able to attend instead of 60. But I posted all their pictures on my website, and it was kind of neat that I was forced to use modern technology. And in a way, it displayed all the 60 women on one page, which I really wanted. If I had had a show, I would want all 60 women together on the wall. And I think when I came here, I didn't know anyone. And it was amazing to me that after 10, 11 years, I already knew 60 plus women. So the power of women supporting each other in community is something that I wanted to show.
What are the challenges of doing portraits compared to the challenges of doing landscapes?
Landscape is very organic, and if you add a branch or not, it probably still will look like a tree. But if you mess up the proportions in the face and you just don't get it, then people are sad and not as accepting of your work. So there's more pressure to capture what that person thinks they look like, and to respond to whatever energy they're giving to you. And I found that very challenging. And but a challenge is good, because then I learned more about all, the face, the eye, the nose, the ears. There's a technical aspect to it. Many artists have distorted the face, but you still see that person in it. And I don't think distortion can happen until you know how to do it, so it looks like a person.
Are you also mentoring?
Yes, sometimes people ask me for lessons, and it's hard to give up your own time in your practice, but I think you get something back from breaking down the skills. It reminds you again what it is about art that you love, and also when you see others making progress in their artistic journey, then that gives a lot of satisfaction. And it's a time to be social with other people too. So yes, I do mentor people from time to time.
Do you have the chance to travel with your art and show it to, in other provinces?
Not at the moment. It's quite a big undertaking to do a show out of province. I've been concentrating on engaging with people here. We originally showed the art here in our home, and then we moved to a setting, a building just outside, and hopefully in the future I will be showing in my own gallery.
Let's spend a little time on plein air. What's it like to do plein air in PEI?
It is, we have a beautiful province, and I think we only have 160,000 people living here. They're all spread out. You drive 30 minutes north or south, and you are on the coastline, either the Gulf of St. Lawrence or the Northumberland Strait. You might get morning light or afternoon light, depending where you are. As I mentioned before, the waves, the light. Also, we have a problem on our shoreline that the shoreline is receding. So you do see at times, trees tumbling in, and that kind of environmental change is worrisome for us. But it's a beautiful province, and people love living here and take care of it. And also, what's interesting is we don't have a rugged coastline. It's agriculture goes right to the sea practically. So you can walk along the coastline and turn one way and see the water, and turn the other way and see pasture and fields and agriculture.
You live with another artist who has a different medium. What's it like to live with another artist?
Challenging. The one good thing is you see in each other that you have to have a bit of discipline to get things done. Some kind of production is needed. So you have to be at your easel, or my husband does pottery. I suppose his is really about production, but also the artistic side comes in choosing colors, and also the care for a finished product. So for me as a painter, my starting point might be different, but I also have to make sure that the object that I hang up is finished and signed and framed and is in good condition. So the attention to that kind of detail is similar. But we enjoy it, and we go to work happily.
Do you use applications of digital painting?
No, I come more from a traditional painting. I would say my paintings are more too expressive or impressionistic. I have never been comfortable with computers and digital technology. So the only way I could see using it is if you took a photograph and you manipulated it, but I don't have those capabilities.
Have you done abstract art?
Yes, I think when I began painting, when I was in university, I was trying to lose the object, but now I'm more comfortable just starting from something I see and maybe not giving all the details, but you know what it is. So not total abstraction. No, I'm not comfortable with that.
Some painters also do mixed media. Do you do that?
I would say I do more different media. I love printmaking. I love drawing. I love watercolor. But I can't say that I would paste them all together. I think the one medium informs the other. But I am, like when I do oil, or watercolor is watercolor. The only thing I would mix is pen and ink and watercolor.
Do you do your own prints?
I have done linoleum prints and woodblock prints, but at the moment I don't have a press, so I invest my time into painting and drawing.
How do you feel about the current trends in painting in Canada?
I think when I was going through art school, I was very frustrated because the art tradition was art was turning away from tradition to learning basic skills in painting and drawing to more abstract installations, and just basic drawing and painting was not valued. But I think it's fundamental to becoming an artist, and even in planning your installation, you would need drawing skills. So I guess there's a place for that, but it's not my place. I believe my paintings are positive about nature, and I'm recording what I see as a woman at this point in time, and I hope it opens up a discussion to how we can preserve what is there. As we know, the environment is changing quickly, and I believe we all have to do our part and not wait for government. And perhaps planting trees and planting gardens is a way that we can contribute against climate change without waiting for government to do that.
Many artists told me that they have been influenced by the group of seven. Have you been influenced by the group of seven?
Oh, definitely. As a Canadian, I think you can't avoid that your art would be compared to or thought of in the light of a group of seven. They also were influenced by the Impressionists. So I think what they give us is, yeah, they saw nature at a time of year that was challenging, and they traveled to areas that people in cities didn't get to. So they were courageous in a way, and really described how we feel about our country. What would I like to accomplish? I'd like to make that one good painting that really shows the light. I think that's a difficult question to answer because we have plans and we don't know if we will have time and health to execute them. I would say I'd hope that I have many more years of doing what I'm doing because it makes me happy.
Most artists choose themes where the day is pretty calm when they're doing landscapes. Is it difficult to show or paint storms or moody weather?
Well, I think a sunny day painting is pretty boring. So we need a bit of, it's just like writing a novel. You need some tension or else the novel's going to be boring. So I think in the painting, it can't be just like a pretty happy day. You have to show that there's conflict or tension or, yeah. I think I notice people are drawn when you have those kind of a little bit cloudy skies or stormy seas, and it's much more exciting because lots more is happening in the picture plane than just a calm sea. So the challenging thing is to tie down your easel and make sure you don't blow away or your brushes or your paints get full of sand. But I think, you know, with measured approach, you can paint in all kinds of conditions.
Do your personal experiences influence your topics and the way you paint?
Of course, I think that your experience naturally comes into your painting. If you are well rested and you are organized and you've had good breakfast, then going out and doing plein air may be challenging, but you're ready for all those kind of decisions you have to make. So yes, I think whatever is happening in your family or in your daily life or in the season or the season of your life, that will come into your paintings.
In the past, we were used to have these images of starving artists creating in very, you know, austere conditions. Do you think that the artists in that time were creating masterpieces because they were put under such conditions?
Well, if you look at the history of the Impressionists, some of them came from like bourgeois families. They had money behind them. And some of them were expected to become lawyers or doctors. And when they didn't, then the family cut them off from finances. Nowadays, especially in Canada too, if you have an idea and you know how to present it, you can access funds to help you. But you always need to make a living. So you either have to teach or you have to have a spouse who has an income so that you can make a living. Does being a starving artist make you a better painter? I don't think so. I think it's harsh, and those artists had to find a way to make something that they could sell so that they could buy more canvases. So some of them were interior decorators, or they had something on the side. So I think the pressure to make a living, it is very difficult. and can interfere with your production. And you need to find a way to either sell your art or have a job on the side, or else you can't buy more paint.
You were mentioning that you are preparing your own gallery. Many artists told me that gallery representation was a bit of a struggle for them. So you are working to open your own gallery, to have your own gallery representation. Is it an advantage?
Well, I think the whole art scene is changing quite a bit, because now customers can bypass the gallery. They can go online and find you and buy directly from you. So that makes it harder for gallery owners. And also, galleries need to make a living on your painting, so they need to charge double. So that sometimes can price your art out of the market, because you as artists have to sell your work for the same price that they do. So the other thing is, just like in music, there are so many musicians out there. There are so many artists. How do you get recognized? And I found that if you are under 30, they're always looking for what's new, what's the new voice going to say. So when you are a mature artist, if you haven't made that connection with the art world yet, it's very hard to get noticed. But now, with the internet and Instagram and all that, people may find you. They might not walk in a gallery, but they might be really good at looking up things on the computer. So I think galleries are useful, because many people trust a gallery to help them understand the art that's being represented. So they might find you that way. Because my husband and I are both producing, he's producing pottery and he makes soap, and I'm making paintings and cards, that we have enough material that we can represent ourselves. And I think an advantage sometimes is that the artists can talk about their own art, and people like that connection to you and the painting. Like, they can explain to their friends, I met this artist and this is what they said about their work, and this is why I enjoy it. So I guess for us here, it's always a practical side. How can you make a living from what you love doing? So you have to be a little bit business-minded and think about, what size of painting do people want? What does subject matter? And what fits in with your creative output? Because nobody wants to do the same painting over and over and over.
You mentioned doing cards. What's it like to work in miniature?
I like working on watercolor paper that's already ready with a card in an envelope. And for me, it's kind of like a warm-up to doing paintings. For example, let's say I have a cyclamen and I do 25 cards of cyclamen, and each card is a little bit different, but it helps me understand that subject matter, and then I go to paint whatever. Also, I find that I think everybody should be allowed to own an original piece of art, and a card is maybe $10, and people can frame that and they would have an original Geraldine Ysselstine without losing a fortune. So I think for my purposes, it's a good creative outlet, and for people, they have access to purchase my art.
We are now the 2nd of November, which is kind of like the end of the tourist season. Does this mean that you're going to start painting more?
Yes, it's quite nice here on the island once you get used to the rhythm. I think we would be exhausted if we were open for business 12 months a year. Also, during the summer here on the island, you not only have your little shop and industry, but you also have a lot of visitors. So it's double duty. And then as the winter rolls around, we kind of relax, we hibernate, we make product for the next year, and take a little more time to be outside and enjoy things, to make plans for the next year, because the next year is always going to be better than this year. So yes, I have been purchasing canvases and frames, and I've been thinking about what I want to paint next, and I will go into full swing. And it's a very lovely time.
Does the city or the province help the artists?
Yes, we have Prince Edward Island Crafts Council, and I'm able to show my paintings in they have a little shop in our storefront, and they also have a space that you could teach a lesson there if you would like to. And they also allow you to apply for travel grants or material grants to help you to expand your knowledge, or just get off the island, get a different point of view, and do something new. So a few years ago, 3 years ago, I traveled to Michigan, and I took a portrait painting class with Carolyn Anderson. And I'm still reflecting on what I learned there.
Geraldine, how can people find you?
They should come to Hope River. How to find me? Our present website is called White Gables at Hope River. So if you either type my name, Geraldine Ysselstine, or White Gables at Hope River, my website should come up, and you can look on the website at examples of my art. And it also allows you, if you'd like to ask a question. Secondly, I have some short videos, painting videos, under when I have an idea in mind of what I want to paint. For example, this road, let's say, what I would do is like have a visual memory. So I really study it, and I try to recall it in my mind. Then I could take a picture, and then you can put it to grayscale, and that helps you plan the values, because it's all about the light and the dark. Then I might do a little sketch in pencil. Then I might do a quick sketch in oil or watercolor. And then with all that memory and practice and thinking about that subject, I'm ready, and it just flies on the canvas. And when I have done that step-by-step process, I think the paintings work better. But sometimes when you're doing plein air painting, it's windy, you can't get your sketchbook out, and so on and so forth. And I just consider the paintings as the sketch. So I'll start one, and I'll just go for it, and then maybe turn 90 degrees and do another one, and then come home and try to think about what was that whole scene about. So you have a visual response, but then coming home and working on the studio. It's more digging into what was that scene about? What did I really want to say? So I think if you are interested in that kind of process, there are many artists online who describe that now. And I think for anyone who would like to enter painting or drawing, the internet is a wonderful resource. Of course, there are a lot of bad videos, but if you sift through it and find an artist that their work appeals to you, they often describe their process, and that will help you develop your own practice, because it's sometimes very hard to open a sketchbook with white pages and just get started. But if you don't start, you're not going to progress. And it's all about being at the easel or opening the sketchbook, and that's the only way to get ahead.
And you paint on traditional canvas, or you also paint on other types of canvas or wooden board?
Yes, I like to paint on canvas, but I have learned that there's a commercial application of gesso that is quite thin. So what I'd like to do is put 3 more layers of gesso on my canvas, and then the last layer I tone with like an ochre, or maybe an orange, or maybe a gray, depending on the subject matter. If you are painting nature and you have a lot of green, then it's good to have a red or orange underground, and you'll see that in the group of 7 paintings. Somehow that medium ground helps you define the values. And I also like painting on the wooden panels that they have created now. I have also painted on canvas paper, just as a new way of presenting an old medium. I think I'm a colorist. I really like color in my paintings. It's really hard for me to stop and think about value, because I really like how colors bounce off each other. So I have to really be strict with myself and first think about the value and then think about the color. Many artists have said that value does the heavy lifting and color gets all the credit. And the earth colors, well, I'm a landscape painter, so that's what I see. I suppose there are artists who have taken the colors that are natural and just changed them around to really high key colors, but I am probably more traditional. I paint what I see or what I feel.
Over time, the quality of the paints changed. Some have evolved, some have maybe not evolved as we wanted. How do you feel that the quality of today's paints are?
Yes, it's very it's very hard for an artist, because there are many brands out there, and sometimes they get bought out by other companies, and then they change things a little bit. So you always have to be asking other artists and trying yourself what colors work for you, and their chemical makeup. Many artists now have dropped all cadmium because they're afraid of the toxicity. So, and also using odorless terps instead of terps, and then other people are using other things. So that's always part of the research. And luckily, companies do give information, and artists are much more aware of the dangers in, for example, using lead white that's completely off the market. I feel that you have to enter the market where you can, because some paints are very, very expensive. So if you can find a student quality that works for you, you may have to choose that before you choose the artist quality for a few years. But I think it's important to, if you are going to put the time into your art, you have to buy good materials. And I would avoid the cheaper things that can change with the light, especially if you're selling your paintings. You do not want your clients to come back and say this painting is faded or the painting is cracking because of your inattention to how you use materials. So I do think it's a responsibility of the artist to come with good materials and do their best job. I would like to invite anyone who's interested either in doing their own art or visiting my art to look at my website, Geraldine Ysselstine, or White Gables at Hope River, and you can get a good idea of who I am and what I do. And if you need further encouragement, you can send me a little email. And I hope that my work has meaning. And I also hope that you'll find a way to be creative in your life, whether it's in writing or painting or walking or weaving or beading. We all need to express and share that with others.